Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Phil Norris, candidate for Alabama's 4th Congressional District. I'm proud to be a citizen of the great state of Alabama, born and raised in Hamilton, Alabama, and I'm proud to be running to represent the citizens of the 4th Congressional District, which includes my hometown. I come to you today to ask for your help in communicating a message to members of Congress who, when they return to their session in September, will be voting on whether or not to approve a nuclear deal with the nation of Iran. This deal has been worked on by our President and Secretary of State over the past few months, and I simply urge you to contact your senators and representatives in Washington and urge them to not approve this deal. I'd like to outline my reasons for urging your representatives in Washington to disapprove this deal, so you have some ideas on what you should talk to them about. First and foremost, I believe this deal creates a serious national security implication for the United States and for the nation of Israel. As citizens of the great state of Alabama, we have a long history of partnering with the nation of Israel. Back in 1943, in the middle of World War II, the citizens of Alabama recognized that the Jewish nation was being persecuted mercilessly at the hands of Hitler's Nazi regime, and they advocated for establishing a sanctuary for Jewish refugees worldwide. So in 1943, in a joint resolution, the Alabama legislature petitioned the President and the United Nations to establish a sanctuary for the Jewish people in Palestine, and eventually, as we know, the nation of Israel was formed as an independent nation, and they remain an independent nation today. We Alabamians ought to be proud of that, but now, when Israel was formed as an independent nation, it brought upon a whole host of enemies against their right to exist as an independent nation, and most notably the nation of Iran is probably Israel's worst enemy in our modern times. Now the nation of Israel needs our help again, not just the citizens of Alabama, but the whole United States. Now I'm proud to say that there are groups of Alabamians that continue our alliance with the Jewish people, and they serve in such groups as the Alabama Friends of Israel, the Alabama Israel Task Force, Christians United for Israel, and several other pro-local Israel organizations all across the state of Alabama. Now, let's talk about Iran. By all indications, Iran has had a nuclear weapons appetite for several decades now, dating most prominently back to the Islamic Revolution of 1979. The Islamic Revolution brought about the end of the reign of the Shah of Iran, an American ally at the time. But even when the Shah was in power, he was in discussion with the United States about their nuclear ambitions. After the Islamic Revolution of 1979, the nation of Iran turned its hatred toward the nation of Israel and its allies, namely the United States. And in November 1979, 52 American diplomats and citizens were taken hostage and held in captivity for 444 days, which was an indication of Iran's hatred for America. Now, in September of 1980, the military of Iraq invaded Iran, marking the beginning of the Iran-Iraq War. Now, it was out of this conflict that Iran's current nuclear ambition was born, justifying its desire for a nuclear weapons program as a deterrence against the nation of Iraq during that conflict. They were justifying this to the international community. Now, in the international community, several nations have assisted Iran with its nuclear development program. Russia, China, Germany, and even the United States has assisted them along the way. Let me lay out for you 5 reasons that I think the Iran nuclear deal should be voted down by our Congress. First off, the deal has too many loopholes. As you can imagine, anything in modern legislation has loopholes. Under this agreement, Iran is permitted to continue developing the centrifuges it needs to enrich uranium to weapons grade. Iran is also allowed to continue developing and building intercontinental ballistic missiles. Iran will be able to keep most of all of its nuclear infrastructure. And the sanctions on Iran will be lifted long before Iran finishes making the changes in its nuclear program that the agreement requires. We need to close these and many other loopholes in this deal before we approve it. This deal does not allow for surprise, anytime, anywhere inspections. This is number 2. Because Iran has violated over 20 international agreements and consistently lied to the International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors, we cannot trust Iran to abide by this agreement. As every official from the president on down has said, we must have surprise, anytime, anywhere inspections to know whether Iran is cheating or not. Yet this agreement prevents those inspections. If Iran objects to a requested inspection, a committee which includes Iran, Russia, and China would deliberate. While the committee is deciding what to do, the Iranians can hide evidence of their unauthorized activity. Number 3 reason. This deal would fuel a Middle East nuclear arms race, making the world less safe. Now, Saudi Arabia has already said it does not believe this deal will be effective and that it will match Iran's nuclear capability. News reports indicate Saudi Arabia is already planning to buy a nuclear weapon from another country. Algeria, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Turkey, and others are also preparing to become nuclear weapon states if this deal is approved. Any additional nuclear weapons in the world's most unstable region just increases the chances they will fall into the hands of terrorists. Iran itself is known as the world's largest funder and sponsor of terrorist groups in the world. Now, the 4th reason. Even if Iran's leaders abide by this agreement, the regime will be dangerously close to having nuclear weapons. Dangerously close. Even if Iran does not cheat at all, this agreement that's approved by our President and Secretary of State will keep it only 1 year away from a nuclear weapon. And then after 10 to 15 years, Iran's leaders could get a weapon within 2 months. That's just too dangerous for America, too dangerous for Israel, and too dangerous for the world when we're dealing with a regime like Iran's. Only one country in the world has stated that its policy is to wipe another country off the face of the earth. That country is Iran, and it was speaking about our friends, the nation of Israel. The 5th and last reason that I think we should not approve this. This deal allows Iran to continue developing and building intercontinental ballistic missiles. These missiles would be delivery vehicles of any nuclear weapon that it could develop. Now, Iran's government is spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing these intercontinental ballistic missiles that can reach points around the globe. This agreement allows it to continue to develop these ICBMs, and there is only one reason for Iran to have ICBMs, and that would be for offensive military action. Again, I urge you to contact your senator and representatives and ask them to vote no on approving this nuclear deal with Iran. The security of the United States, Israel, and the entire free world is hanging in the balance. I have provided information at the end of this video that will allow you to contact your congressman and voice your opposition to this deal with Iran. I thank you for your action, what you plan to do, for getting on board with this, and I approve this message. Thank you.